Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, keeping it free.blogspot.com. Don't get played. One of the problems with American media, and I love American media, Lord knows I love freedom of the press, but the problem is the misinformation that's out there. People really get misled, and then they act on bad information. I made an earlier video on Occupy Wall Street where I was pointing out that a lot of public treasury money was given to Wall Street by the current administration. And a well-meaning YouTuber then hit me with the mantra that seems to be a political narrative, right? That, oh, all of the banks have paid back the bailout money, right? That's flat out false. Understand that Goldman Sachs had AIG exposure, right? AIG insured a lot of Goldman risk. And understand that when AIG exploded, Goldman, who had assumed the risk if AIG went under, was literally paid back in taxpayer money 100% of their AIG exposure, right? Understand that's a transfer of billions of dollars, billions, from you to private equity, right? We're non-equity holders in Goldman Sachs. It's absurd that Goldman Sachs could take the risk and then any politician would socialize the risk and literally leave the taxpayer liable. That's what happened. Let's go further. AIG, as of August, still owed the American taxpayer more than $50 billion. Look around your community. Just imagine what it could do with even $1 billion, right? Understand every state on average paid $1 billion to AIG. It's so bad that some polling is suggesting that as many as 50% of Occupy Wall Street protesters, and I use the word protest in quotes, right? Protesters support Barack Obama's reelection. Even Keith Olbermann acknowledges that there is no candidate running for reelection who has received more Wall Street money than Barack Obama. Understand, the money Barack Obama has received from Wall Street is more than the money every Republican candidate running for president combined has received. That's according to Keith Olbermann on the show in which he had Michael Moore recently, right? So my point is simply this. You have protesters who literally are out there supporting the status quo. Not only that, they're protesting Wall Street while supporting Wall Street's candidate. Also, don't get fooled by all of these initiatives that aren't going to pass. The bottom line, and forget what's being proposed, go by what actually is factual, what has been done. We're hearing a lot about extra taxes on millionaires and what have you. Okay, great. Do the people making these proposals have any credibility? Barack Obama extended the Bush tax cuts. He has extended the tax cuts for the wealthy. That's the record, right? And so now with an election on the forefront and with public disdain for the kind of handouts to Wall Street and the wealthy that this administration has been doing now since the day it took office. Now we have Joe Biden talking about surcharge on millionaires, yada, yada, yada. That's not what they did. Understand, they did the opposite, right? And that's the problem I have right now with the status quo. We know about the evils of the Patriot Act, wireless warrants and things like that, total assault on civil liberties, right? But yet, this administration has continued the Patriot Act. You know, again, the political narrative, the campaign sloganeering and rhetorics, the teleprompter scripted messages don't match the actual performance. Let me also point out, too, you know, when I voted for Barack Obama in 2008, I was actually expecting him to actively visit minority communities and to talk to and put a national focus on the plight of brown and black people. It's gotten so bad that even his college classmate, Tavis Smiley, is disenfranchised from the president. And of course, Smiley and Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, did a poverty tour where they went through minority communities who are hit much harder than the white community here in the United States in terms of unemployment and feeling the heavy impact of this great recession. But yet the White House, other than symbolism, right, other than talking about Dr. King and stuff like that, the White House wouldn't know its way to Harlem if you gave them a map at this point, right? Barack Obama petrified of even directly addressing black unemployment, which isn't at recession levels, it's at depression levels. Okay, official statistics have black unemployment north of 15%. The average net worth of a black individual in the United States is somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000. A fraction of the net worth of white individuals, right? I believe, in fact, black net worth is something like 6 or 7% of white net worth here in the United States. And yet, even with a minority president, there's no spotlight on really the depression type suffering right now in minority communities. It's so bad. The misinformation is so thick that even the people out at Occupy Wall Street appear to be supporting the current administration. Don't get played. Know the facts. If you're at a protest on Occupy Wall Street, just ask yourself, what exactly am I protesting if I'm supporting the current regime? What exactly am I protesting? Is this Occupy Wall Street when I'm supporting the politician who has gotten the most money from Wall Street? Also, as you're reading about paybacks of bailouts, just ask yourself, wow, do we still have an equity interest in General Motors, right? Is there some money that we gave that we haven't yet been paid for, right? Why did Goldman Sachs's private shareholders get money from the taxpayer for their AIG exposure when they were able to get money from Warren Buffett in the private capital markets? If they could attract private capital, what was our government doing giving them our capital? Let me also point out, too, that municipalities are under pressure across the United States, right? State and local governments, they are struggling. You might know a state or local worker who has been laid off, right? Just ask yourself why the banks like Goldman Sachs were given top priority over what's happening in your locality, right? And so, my word of advice to Occupy Wall Street is simply, if you're occupying Wall Street, I hope you're protesting Wall Street, right? If you're there to push more of this, then you're not a protester. Thanks for watching.